And
Really?
this is, in a sense, when we talked about what happens when technological employment hit the scenes, well, the system is going to bring in Agenda 21, and it's going to sound pretty appealing. I mean, let's just say...
You'll make it like a holiday house.
Yeah, I mean...
Early retirement.
It's all about sustainable development, sustainable this, sustainable that, and, like, there are agencies...
Real? Yeah.
No, there are agencies all
I've seen it written.
all
I've
over
written a
the
bit about
world, like, it's a UN, like,
So
regulation, like, it's just physically there, it exists, and we have agencies here in Australia. When I was back in Italy in December, I checked, I had a Agenda 21 agency, like, 15 kilometers from my hometown.
We checked
they
the
are-
Monash Council.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're everywhere in a sense. It's not fully implemented.
Hold on.
But-
They're everywhere. I need to know about this. So there's actually people.
Well,
This is fucking important shit.
All right.
Is there people?
in Western countries,
Yeah.
at least, they are pretty full blown in a sense
Google.
in terms of
I
like.
mean, if you're watching this, Google ICLEI. ICLEI. It is an agency that is assigned to promoting Agenda 21, like local sustainable development. Sustainable development really meaning nature strips left to nature, human beings packed into cities, into high-rise buildings, little tiny apartments, living in virtual reality worlds, like while nature recovers. I mean, that is a 3-sentence.
While nature recovers. So we're talking about
Never
for
heard
what?
of that ever.
Indefinitely. in a
We're
sense.
talking
Well,
indefinitely.
But what do you mean recovers from something that
No.
it itself is a part of?
The idea is that, like, if you take, for example, what the Venus project advocates, or even the Zeitgeist movement, in a sense, like living in balance with nature and everything,
Yeah.
but from the grassroots movement perspective, the thing has to come out like from the people
itself. Oh, definitely.
ourselves. From their perspective, of course, because they want to keep control over a system that is falling apart, that kind of balance is going to come about by them enforcing you to, nah, you can't build here, you have to live there, or nah, you can't have that much electricity, power consumption, you have to limit yourself to that. And
That sounds. I haven't heard of that. That sounds.
Really, you guys should look into it.
That sounds incredible. That's actually a pretty protocol thing for them to be regulating or.
but it's the ultimate totalitarian, in a sense, kind of enforcement under the name of sustainable development, and nature is providing for us, so we shouldn't really squander too much.
The way to save nature from the bad sides of, corporatism running wild, dumping toxic waste everywhere, oil exploration, dumping toxic waste everywhere, is to basically, lock up, 80% of the westernized, highly consuming population into this, high-tech, comfortable, prison where you're totally vegetative. Probably on like 3/4
about New York.
You're probably high on
style concentration.
Probably high on 3/4 types of drugs, and like having the time of your life in some virtual reality game, and that way, like, they don't get to have these bad negative feelings of having to kill millions of people, and you get to die off, peacefully, playing whatever the World of Warcraft or Black Ops till the nth level.
Is there something else you can add to that? Like, as in, like, what else could they be doing apart from playing games?
No, but, like, it doesn't...
Doesn't matter if they're enjoying themselves.
It doesn't consider... it doesn't consider the fact that... It doesn't consider the fact that, we're the only species on Earth that can grow forests. Like, dolphins are smart. Whales are even smart. I mean, maybe they got more intelligence than us. Maybe they got more processing power. But I don't see them going around planting forests. I don't see them growing
No.
cultures of
Manipulating their
fish
environment.
or chickens or creating farms or greening the desert.
Certainly.
We are the only species on planet Earth that actually can recover destroyed ecosystems.
Yeah.
And that's kind of totally ignored, saying like, oh, just like you guys need to fuck off into high-rise buildings while nature itself recovers. And
so let me go into this for a second. This is let me just try and remember it. I heard it on a podcast of an astrophysicist, and he was saying, all right, so okay, so he was saying if there are from a galactic perspective. Okay, there are three types of civilization. So civilization 1 is someone who can manipulate your own environment. Okay, as in what I mean, like ecosystems around the world, and
even space-time.
Magnetic field around the Earth, that sort of thing. So that I'll get into the next bit in a second. But civilization 2 is when you can manipulate your own galaxy. So that means that you can go to different planets, you can be able to control their atmosphere, you can then, by that stage you probably would have figured out how to travel by the speed of light. Okay, so then civilization 3 is when you can manipulate space-time. So, if you believe in aliens, being able to transport from one side of the galaxy to another. So, for interest's sake, he was saying that, well, what we've been lucky enough to be born in is that we now have Type 1 telephone technology, and that's the internet. Okay, so, but soon, if you believe in any sort of chemtrology, engineering or anything, the question I put to you is that, what is acceptable when it comes to trying to achieve that Type 1 civilization? Our economic system fails in the fact of us being able to purely be able to create the Earth to be able to control the Earth in a pure sense. You know what I mean? Like we seem to be lost. Like we're trying to get to this Type 1 civilization.
How much do you sacrifice?
But if you do believe in chemtrails, spraying chemicals throughout the air to create cloud cover and rain is probably not the best way to do it. You know what I mean? So
I think it's a little presumptuous in a sense of
certainly
of us. Like we're still just recently starting to understand the systemic approach and all the interconnectedness that is involved in nature.
Certainly.
So I don't know. At the moment, for us to think about, we should really change the climate of this part of
certainly that's what
North
I mean.
America or whatever. Like,
but in a roundabout way, we're doing that with burning fossil fuel. We're saying, look, the science is there, even though sometimes it's not. Of that, if we keep burning it, then eventually we're going to dramatically change the climate of the Earth.
So how many things have to be sacrificed on the journey?
Yeah, so how many things, like we're trying, like using the Type 1, Type 2, 3 as a hypothetical, how long is it before we get to the point of being able to manipulate things on a pure level for our own survival and our own happiness? You know what I mean?
Do you mean having no guilty feelings about it?
Well, having no sort of, malice about it. Like, I'm doing this to sort of...
what we were talking about before, about killing different grades of animals. You feel trying to kill a cow and you have, extreme emotions because you relate to it. And you try and you kill something you don't relate to at all. So... Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's weird to me. I watched the other day a documentary... a documentary about dolphins. Actually, it was a TED talk about dolphins, and this lady was saying that they're basically more intelligent than us, probably, or at least of a comparable intelligence. And if you look at ourselves, like we need clothes, we need shelter, and stuff like that, and we call ourselves evolved. Yeah. If you take a dolphin, it doesn't have any kind of requirements. He is self-sufficient in a sense.
It's how it is.
So,
There's no evolving.
That's why I said that it's a little bit presumptuous of us to think that we should manipulate this.
Yeah, the more you can manipulate the environment,
That was sort of exactly what I was trying to get at. You're what if, should we manipulate, and once we get intelligent enough to, are we manipulating for the wrong reasons or just the reasons of saving life? You know what I mean? If you know an earthquake's going to come up and you got the technology, then let's stop the earthquake. You know what I mean?
Displace the people within
displace the people, whatever, anything.
But in a sense, I think it would be more, it would be for us to show more evolution, in a sense, to be able to understand how we fit within the bigger picture.
Isn't it funny how we've gone
outside of it,
they're had to come back to the original source again, we started knowing everything, but then we're not really knowing, and then we just have to do this big fucking roundabout turn and come back to the point of going, well, this is where we fit and this is what we have to do to live ethically in this world.
I'm wondering.
Does that happen to everyone? Is that just human trait?
To some extent, it's a bit philosophical, but one might argue that, if you look at animals and everything, they're always in balance. We, with nature and the other species, we are the only ones that
because we understand good and evil, and we have a conscience, and we actually have, we
have money.
feel like we have a choice, and that we. I don't think that's the main difference between animals and how they're perfect, because they can't do any wrong, because they are just doing their bit. As a cat, if you're a cat, you're doing a fucking good job at it. There's no...
That is one thing, man. Cats do fucking incredible jobs at being cats.
You know what I mean? There's no wrong way, and when a tiger kills a fucking ruthless to its prey, they're not doing anything wrong. There's no nasty, sinister, wrong and right. That's the difference, I think. Is that people have this...
So where do we
go?
People
actually know. People know.
They're more conscious. Their brains are more able to be conscious.
Like machines will be so.
But at the end of the day, it still comes down to how we feel about how much we're wrecking the environment. How many times we're going to change the boundary from when we feel, that's acceptable, but now, no, that's fucked. I'm sure that that's...
to the point of, like you were saying before with, money not going right in Italy, so people develop another strategy. To the point of when the planet gets so fucked, then we're okay, so now we've got to do something.
It seems like something drastic needs to happen to get people to actually care. Because until it affects people's own life and ability to survive, then they'll care. But apart from that, no matter how obvious the injustice is,
it's kind of like global warming. I personally, I don't know, I have got a lot of skepticism regarding a lot of the claims, but at the same time...
Are you a believer?
Well, as I said, I'm
skeptical. Do you believe in climate change, global warming, or climate extremes?
I don't believe in climate extremes. I don't believe in a lot of global warming caused by humans. I do believe in climate change. But, let me continue the point. It actually feels right.
Yeah.
Look at it. You just observe humanity.
Yeah.
Observe us blowing up fucking open air mines. Observe us dumping tons of toxic waste into the ocean. Observe us overfishing.
Like little kids
and
in a playground.
When somebody says,
and getting paid,
we are doing this type of damage with carbon dioxide that's going to make the Earth boil. It actually makes perfect sense. You're like, fuck. I mean, I know. I knew this since I was 7 years old that we're trashing this planet, and of course something's happening.
Yeah.
But it feels right at that level, and then you realize, when you look deeper into it, you're like, oh, well, fuck it. It used to be a whole lot hotter than it is right now.
Yeah.
The CO2 isn't all that bad because the plants actually grow considerably better.
Pretty much in optimal conditions.
Yeah. So, we're not about to exterminate life. We're about to make it hotter because plants actually thrive on CO2 and all the animals thrive on the plants and everything. Essentially, you're adding food to the bottom of the food chain. Yeah. But it's one of those things where most of us that are aware of the environment have a pretty clear-cut idea that, we are wrecking it.
Yeah.
So much so that we are prone to believe anyone that says, this here is how we're wrecking the environment.
Yeah.
You know, like, since you know that
Yeah.
that we're wrecking it, you're more likely to believe any fucking claim that anyone makes in terms of the particularities of how we're wrecking it. And the problem with global warming, like, I